Okay, folks, that was a really special introduction. The music of Franz Schrecker, a work of just such kaleidoscopic proportions. It just defies description, really. That was his Chamber Symphony, a work written in 1916. I really commended it. It's just so wonderful and vibrant and full of life. I was walking to work this morning and I was listening to that, and it really sort of transported me. I really thoroughly recommend the music of Franz Schrecker.
I've never heard it.
Yeah, I had neither. It just sort of popped up on a recommended list somewhere, and I thought, I'll have to sample this. And my goodness, what a world, what a sound, what a kaleidoscopic, just full of just textures and transmutions. It's the analog equivalent to one of the most glorious paintings, I think. That sense of wholeness and fullness and everything in between.
Yeah, well, there you are. I might have to pay attention.
Yes, Franz Schrecker. He was contemporary of Richard Strauss, and he died, I think, in 1935. He wasn't that old. He wrote a lot of operas. He was considered to be the premier opera composer, along with Strauss, in the period just after around the First World War and thereafter for a bit. And sadly, he fell foul of the authorities and was marginalised during that dreadful time, being Jewish. So, his plight wasn't easy at all. But he wrote this work in 1916. Didn't write a lot of other music, mostly operas. But, it's delicious, really.
Are any of his operas in the repertoire now, do you know?
I think they are. I was reading something about, I can't recall their names, but I think in Germany in particular, he's going through a resurgence. There's a strong interest in Schrecker's music at the moment, from what I hear. So that's good to know.
How do you spell it?
How do we find it? Schrecker, I think it is.
So I can find him. That's
yeah. Schrecker.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is vk3sl. With contact with vk3sl is a test transmission.
Indeed, test missions on 160 and on UHF, and also streaming online and crossband duplex with 2 meters with Mr.
How's
Frank.
your week been?
Oh, yeah, it's pretty busy, pretty crazy. I've sort of been low on energy a bit this week, so I don't know. I think this thing's going ebbs and flow, but I'm hoping to get a bit of a reboot out of a couple of ambitions.
I had a great lunch yesterday at the Radio Amateur Old Timers
Oh,
Club.
marvellous. Good one. Excellent. That's always a bit of a fest, isn't it?
Saw some old favourite friends.
Okay, tremendous.
Drew was there.
Good.
And Marty.
Yeah, true.
These are people who are interested in what we do.
Yes, great. Good to hear.
And a few others.
Oh, look, that's lovely. Yes, I see. I don't qualify. I'd love to be involved with some of these things, but I'm a new kid on the block.
You could be an associate member.
Maybe I could. Yes, I could be sort of an.
It's probably hard for you to get to meetings.
Yes, the problem. I can't at this point in my life. It's not really possible to get to meetings, but
your time will come.
It'll happen. But
but
let's hope there's people around.
Isn't the criteria though how many years you've been licensed, not how old you are?
I think it's yes. Hi, Frank.
That's the criteria, Frank.
Yeah.
And good afternoon, and how are you?
I'm very well, Frank. How are you? And hello, Steve.
And good afternoon to you, Frank. Yes, all good. And thank you for that. Oh, you sent me a text yesterday. And
with the link to the...
Yes. Oh, look.
It was interesting, just the DNA test from locks of his hair.
I know, locks of Beethoven's hair.
Oh, my God.
And they've done DNA tests and they've worked out what his ailments were. Or they've sort of made some educated guesses. Yeah, so...
And interestingly, nothing congenital that pointed to his deafness.
No, that's right. It's it. That was very interesting observation.
There's talk of his parents having syphilis, wasn't there?
Well, it's an interesting thought. I don't know if that could have been detected through the sample.
No, I don't spread rumours, but I had heard that.
Well, I suppose these things can sort of affect the next generation because children are born with it, aren't they?
They certainly are.
Yeah, that'd be most tragic. But yeah, I wonder if it can be discerned through the DNA test. Well, it was quite comprehensive.
I imagine that over time it'll get better and better.
Yeah.
Because obviously there are elements of both parents' DNA in there, so
yes.
they can probably not pick everything, but I imagine there's a lot there.
Yeah. What they were able to deduce was that there are a number of locks of Beethoven's hair supposed to survive, and most of them are fakes.
Yeah, there you are. It's like pieces of the true cross. There's enough timber in the world. If you've got all the true crosses together, you can make about 15 houses.
You can make a forest out of it.
Make a forest.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they did. There were sort of 7 or 8 locks that were claimed to be, and they sampled them, and they found that 5 were of the same individual, and 3 were someone. In fact, one of them that claimed to be was a woman.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
They did find that out too. It said that in the article. Yeah, extraordinary. But interesting times when we can sort of delve into someone's sort of, their picture of their physiology through DNA testing. Someone who was alive 200 plus years ago. Extraordinary, really.
Yes.
But, Mr. Beethoven. But yes, you're right. There was no congenital deafness there. And that's unusual because he went deaf young. He was in his 30s. I think it was about 1804, 1805 when he started to really start getting bad. And he was about 30 at that time.
Yes.
So the last 20 years of his life were pretty bad. In fact, the last 10, I don't think he could hear anything.
Yeah, he made it to, 49 or 50 or something?
Yeah, he died in 1827. So, he was born in 1770. So, late 50s.
He was writing another symphony.
Yes, there's fragments, I think.
There are indeed, yes.
Yeah, of number 10.
I think somebody tried to build something around them.
I think there's been an effort. Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Well, hang around, Mr. OP, because I was going to do a bit of a retrospective on rock and roll a little bit later on. I listened to one of Simon Whistler's podcasts, Mr. Vsauce. I think he's Vsauce. And there's a guy who speaks at 400 miles an hour. And but he did also another walk to work I was listening to. He did a thing about Ike Turner and the very first rock and roll recording, or supposedly one of the very first. I think there's many claims to be the first.
Yeah.
And apparently a big part of the sort of the atmosphere on that rhythm and blues track was to do with the fact that the woofer cone had been punched out because they had a flat tire and the bass amp had fallen out and been punctured in the process.
Which
so they
caused distortions.
Yeah, that's right. So they stuffed newspaper inside.
So the first distortion pedal was actually a busted woofer.
Yes, that's right. So he goes on to explain that story. It's a bit of a tale. So anyhow, I thought it'd be fun to listen to some of those very early sort of pre-rock and roll tracks, but there's some pretty good stuff, including some Billy Preston, which is amazing.
The other thing I meant to mention is, are you aware of an outfit called Postmodern Jukebox?
Postmodern Jukebox. I've heard of Postmodern Jukebox.
It was Scott Bradley. Started in New York, but apparently he's now moved to LA.
Okay.
And what they do is a big band sort of sound and does a lot of stuff in 20s and 30s style, but redoes modern, contemporary rock, metal stuff.
Yes.
And the reason I bring it up is that they recently released a new one, like literally in the last 2 weeks or something, which is a reimagining of Kiss's I Was Made for Loving You, which was their, disco-esque kind of thing.
Yes.
Done in a 1920s-30s style, but with the added twist of being spaghetti western-esque as well. And it is, and the singer they bring in is fabulous. She's got an amazing voice.
Oh, look it up.
Really good.
Yay! We'll have to look that one up.
Sounds terrific.
Put it on the list. So run the details by me again. I'll feature it later on if we can find it.
I'll send you I'll text through the link.
Yeah, if you could do that, that'd be really good. You've got a bit of echo on you at this point.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, probably just a bit of ring around from
it might be just that. Yeah, I get a lot of that here. Okay, well, we'll run with a bit of a rock and roll theme shortly. I've got to have my 20s hit dose, though, and I might just put a couple.
I thought this stuff was tying with your 20s and 30s.
Yeah, well, it certainly fits the theme, And of course, there was, remember Taco did Putting on the Ritz? That was all very retro.
Yep.
In the 80s. He's still going strong doing that song, and he's now in his 70s or something.
Wow. That's the old story, though. How long can you dine out on one song?
I know.
I thought Meatloaf was the absolute epitome of that.
Yeah, well, this sort of thing happened. But all right, well, look, we'll have our 20s hit, and it's another one of these 8-inch broadcast discs. There's stacks of them here, and I'm just going to feature them for a while just to run through the pile. The story is these were all flood damage records, which I got from the second vault. I'd quite forgotten about them, and I've been able to extract a few, and they're all good fun. They're budget records, and they're all under pseudonym, so I don't really know who's performing on them. This one says the Kentucky Revelers, and it's a big hit from about 1928, Miss Annabelle Lee.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful, who's marvelous, Miss Annabelle Lee. Who's kissable, who's lovable, Miss Annabelle Lee. Ain't she a pretty baby? What would you give? Escorting her, supporting her, don't forget that she's exclusive. Who's dignified, who's glorified, Miss Annabelle Lee. What makes them fall? She has it all. Just look and you'll see. So you ain't telling theating boy, I'm telling you. Who's wonderful, who's marvelous, Miss Annabelle Lee.
Those turns from the 20s, that was the Kentucky Revelers and Miss Annabelle Lee on a 8-inch broadcast Vocalion budget record from about 1928 thereabouts, and yeah, they come up okay. It's a sign of the times. Okay, there's one other sort of retro track I want to play because I was listening to this one on the way home from work today. It sort of popped up, and I have played it before, but it is a reminder that they were doing amazing hi-fi in 1932. And this is one of Prozet's offerings. It's one of the 24,000 series for Victor, using the best of Western Electric recording equipment and cutting heads and so on. And this is just unbelievable. It's got full tings. It's it must be open to at least 15k. You can even hear that one of the saxes do a little bit of a you can hear some a little squeak at one point. It's incredible. Through the cans, it just defies description. So we'll hear this from 1932. It's Ted Weems and the band, and this is really as good as it gets for that era. Amazing to think that 90 years ago they had full, or pretty much full, high fidelity.
What a sight to gaze upon and put your praise upon. Oh, look who's here. My, my. Oh, look who's here. Looking cute and clever. Well, I swear I never will. You look who's here. My, my. What a beautiful smile. What a classical pose. What a wonderful style. What a wonderful these and a wonderful those. Oh, look who's here. She's an inspiration for a big ovation. It's the time to cheer. Look who's here.
Full frequency range recording from 1932, and one of the famed 24,000 series Victor discs.
There's a lovely sense of depth in it, don't you?
Oh, it does it ever. It sounds magic in here. There's such presence.
I'd like to hear it on the big speaker.
Yeah, next time we come out, we'll play some. It's very, very involving. It's wonderful. So, yes, that's a little bit of a treat.
Bigger is better.
Yeah.
That's right.
Definitely. Right. Well, we can move.
What would have been the weak link then in the receiving, in the whole chain? Would it have been the speakers?
Oh, possibly in the domestic level, I think. But they did have good Kellogg speakers and big baffles at that time, and I know
for high frequencies.
Yeah, they had whizzer cones and sort of compression drivers and things pretty early on.
Okay,
but only in the high end sphere.
I was about to say, your average consumer level at that stage wouldn't have been very high.
No, not at all.
No,
not for
just more of somebody actually having the ability to reproduce that record in its full glory.
Yeah, wouldn't have been many people. I know that RCA had a radiogram they sold. It cost as much as a car to play.
The radiogram.
Yeah, it was a really expensive radiogram which had some special array of baffle speakers.
Yes.
And I think that was pretty good, but probably only a handful of Hollywood executives could afford them.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of demonstrated on YouTube which are quite interesting. But I know Mr. Stew had some really ancient speakers which he put into baffles and tried out, and they actually do sound pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. The RCA field coil drivers, which were patented in the late 20s, 28, 29, they sound amazingly fine for what they are. And they had a dual voice coil. They had a voice coil, then another one over the top in a very, very fine aluminium spun membrane coil wind, and it was like a dual assembly, and it actually produced the high frequencies from the center of the coil with like a whizzer cone thing.
Yeah.
And they
almost like an early sort of dual cone.
Yes, that's right. They sort of were, and they were only an 8-inch speaker initially, and then they sort of developed the famous RCA LC series a little bit later on. That was in the sort of mid-30s. But yes, they did have antecedents to the LCs, and which were pretty damn good by all accounts. But it was the domain of the high end. So they actually gave up these 24,000 series Victors made in 1932-33. Only was one studio was equipped to record them, and then they disassembled it because they just couldn't. There was no market for them.
Yeah, it was not commercially viable.
No, it wasn't commercially viable, and I think they had especially the cutting head had been. I think that was another weak link, which had to be remanufactured to the better specs. So, and I think a heated style. So, I mean, there was all sorts of things spurious resonances which they had to manage with cutting heads as well. So, it's a pretty complex business getting it all onto wax and then out to the consumer. But it was decades later, really, that when we got the the true experience. But I just love listening to these because it's a very they did it really well. They probably only had they had condenser microphones, but a lot of it was about instrument placement as well. So there's that dark arts of being able to manage the musicians in a confined space and make them sound good. But so
it's possible to encode onto wax that level of, it's amazing.
Yeah, certainly, absolutely the case. So it's an interesting story. We'll see if I can get someone else to flesh it out. I think there's a couple of documentaries where they really talk it up in a technical way. And but a fascinating subject. And of course, we've heard a number of them because we've got those Vitatone discs, which were all made at that time using that same process. And they are just larger than life. They just sound amazing.
They certainly are.
Yeah, Jamie's got 400 of them. Amazing.
Has he really?
Yeah, stacks.
G'day, Jamie, if you're listening.
Hello. And we look forward to catching up with Mr. J. Now, I did notice this is our little segue into rock and roll. And this is by no means the first rock and roll. In fact, this is in the late 60s, but there's been some lost footage of the Easy Beats has turned up fairly recently, a bit within the last 12 months, and has been put up online. And it's one of my very favourite Friday songs, and Stevie Wright's young and vibrant, and he wasn't heroined out. And Vanda and Young are sort of in their zenith, and it's just a fabulous sound and full of youthful exuberance and all of that. And so the Easy Beats, I think we'll have to hear Friday on My Mind.
What else?
And yes, and this is this particular version, I think it's from one of the Top of the Pops programs.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, here it is. It says here from BBC's Top of the Pops. So it was recorded in London. And wait for this one. Apparently, out of what does it say it here? Something like 400 episodes of Top of the Pops, I think only 5 survive or something.
Oh, God. Yeah, David's downloaded a couple for me.
Yeah, there's not many. There's only a handful. So it's 60. Yeah, here we go. Yes, only 5 complete episodes out of 315. There we go, survive. How's that for a bad statistic? So this is one of, just something that it was. The story of it being found is incredible too. It was, I think it might have been a relative of Stevie Wright or somebody, found it in the back of a cupboard as a roll of 16mm film and a soundtrack, and it was reassembled and put into the public domain. So well worth a listen. And I commend also, if people want to look it up, it's called the Easy Beats Lost Footage Recovered is the name of the YT link. So let's go.
Monday morning feels so bad. Everybody seems to nag me. Coming Tuesday, I feel better. Even my young man looks good. Wednesday just don't go. Thursday goes too slow. I've got Friday on my mind. Gonna have fun in the
I like that tempo. I think it's fantastic.
Sounds so fresh.
Yeah, they are. They're young. They're kids on stage.
Und jetzt haben wir Gäste.
Hey, looks like I've got this thing on auto follow through. I'll have to work out how I turn that off. So
the Beatles had a regular spot on Top of the Pops.
Did they?
And from that has emerged a series of 3 CDs that you can buy called Beatles at the BBC's, imaginatively named.
Yes.
And, but on bootleg, a label called Yellow Dog, you can get a 9 CD set.
Oh my gosh! Okay, yeah, it sounds
pretty amazing.
It is amazing. All this early material is just sort of coming out of the woodwork.
It really just shows you what a good band they actually were.
Yeah, totally.
They're great, amazing composers of music, but they were a very, very, very good rock band.
Yes, absolutely. I want to watch the doco again now.
I know, so do I.
I want to come back and have my yearly dose of, get back.
I want to get hold of some of these bootlegs.
It'd be good to find out. I wonder if the tapes from the festival hall have ever surfaced.
Don't know, but you've got the screaming to cope with.
Yeah, that's true. That's a constant problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was having a 60s night watching some of these with Olivia the other night, and we looked at one called The Electric Prunes.
Yes.
Do you remember Electric Prunes?
I've heard of them.
This is just so crazy. I'll play one of theirs, and I've also received a link to Frank's spaghetti western style cover of.
Oh, brilliant! Could we play that?
Yeah, definitely, we'll play that too. So we'll have this sort of we'll have a few of these, and then we'll go back to the antecedents of rock and roll.
I'm going to have to leave in about 3/4 of an hour. I think
sure.
David's coming over. We're having takeaway.
Okay, no worries. That's fine.
I'm fine for the moment.
Yeah, no worries at all. We'll squeeze as much as we can in. So let's have a little bit of Electric Prunes, and then we'll fire up the other track as well. So Electric Prunes, here we go. Psychedelic 60s. I'm vk3sl testing.
vk3jr also.
Your shadow fell upon my lonely room. I touched your golden hair and tasted your perfume. Your eyes were filled with love the way they used to be. Your gentle hand reached out to comfort me. Then came the dawn. Gone. You were gone, gone, gone. I had too much to drink last night. Too much to drink. I'm not ready to face the light. I had too much to drink last night. Empty as I staggered from my bed. I could not bear the image racing through my head. You were so real that I could feel your eagerness. And when you raised your lips for me to kiss, came the dawn, and you were gone. Gone, gone, gone. I had too much to drink last night. Too much to drink. I'm not ready to face the light. I had too much to drink last night. drink. Oh, too much to drink. Oh, too much to drink.
A psychedelic offering from the Electric Prunes back in 1967, before my time. I came along a year later. So there we go, the Electric Prunes. It's fantastic stuff. All right, well, I can now line up.
Was their tagline that they kept you regular?
Yes, that's right. They're too cool for that. Yeah. So here we go. I've got your spaghetti western style cover with Effie Passero, and I Was Made for Loving You from, what is it? It's just a postmodern jukebox offering. Any other comment there, Frank?
Yeah, just it's interesting. They do a lot of this stuff, but it's just a great take on, something that's, hang on a second.
Yep, that's fine.
Just that ring around.
Yep.
Yeah, I was, doing one of those YouTube follow down the rabbit hole and discovered that.
Yeah.
And had a listen. I thought, wow, this is great, and sort of went and, I'd heard them before years ago and loved it. But yeah, they seem to release stuff quite regularly, and there's some great versions of modern songs that are done in the style of, and
okay,
great rearrangement, and she's got a terrific voice.
Fabulous. All right, let's indulge.
Tonight, I'm gonna give it all to you. In the darkness, there's so much I wanna do. And tonight, I'm gonna lay it at your feet, 'cause I was made for you, and you were made for me. I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me, and I can't get enough of you, baby. Can you get enough?
There we go. That
You
takes.
can almost hear Ennio Morricone when
You
he comes in with that
certainly
trumpet, can't you?
can. You can indeed. And I love a studio ensemble like that. Just a small group of musicians just going with the flow. And
Yeah, well, you should check out a lot of their other material.
I've been
right
looking.
Up your alley and,
I know.
And there's just lots of contemporary covers, but in different styles with guest vocalists. And
Yeah.
ton of fun.
I want to hear Smooth Criminal.
Oh well, that's really good.
Is it?
Okay. And they also do a version of Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Oh, really?
And the great thing about that is they kind of do a parody of the clip where, you know how in the film clip it's big on dance, you know, with all of the ghouls dancing.
Yeah. They
bring on a couple of tap dancers as the ghouls, doing a rendition of it kind of in tap. It's fabulous.
I love it. Love the concept. This is brilliant. This is going on my favourites list. I'm subscribing right now.
I love the vocalist.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful voice, doesn't she?
She features on a couple of theirs, and there's another one. Her surname's Reinhardt, who features on a few. She's got an amazing voice.
Okay.
And I'm trying to remember what the clip is now. There's one that they do where the vocalist starts on the double bass, playing a few, you know, and is quite capable.
Yes.
And then basically kind of hands it to the bassist.
Okay.
Steps forward to the microphone, and then over the course of the clip, grabs trombone, 3 trumpets at once, goes and sits down at the piano at one point, and then finishes doing a bit on the drums. So she's multi-instrumentalist, as well as a really good vocalist. And you go, okay, just a bit of an underachiever.
Yes, in every sense. Well, everything about this has got very high production standards, and it looks like there's another parallel universe to explore. We'll exploit some of these, and I will look forward to going through them and just, it's the sort of stuff that I really like. I really like
when I came across it the other night again and sort of started diving in, I thought, I know someone who will like this.
Yeah, so thank you for that. That is brilliant. So we'll hear now the film noir special we'll just play one more now, but I will promise I'll be playing a lot more because this just looks incredible. There's so many interesting tracks, and it's all in the name of glam, and excellent musicians. Right, so we'll hear Postmodern Jukebox with their take on Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal.
Hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. 1, 2, 3, 4. As he came into the window, it was the sound of a crescendo. He came into her apartment, he left the blood stains on the carpet. She ran underneath the table, he could see she was unable. So she ran into the bedroom, she was struck down, it was her doom. Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Won't you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you a crescendo, and he came into your apartment. He left the blood stains on the carpet. You ran into the bedroom. You were struck down. It was your doom. Annie, are you okay? So Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. So they came into the outway. It was a Sunday with a black day. Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, sounding heartbeats, intimidation. Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? Won't you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you a crescendo. Annie, he came into your apartment. He left the blood stains on the carpet. So you ran into the bedroom. You were struck down. It was your doom. Annie, are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. okay? Won't you tell us that you're okay? There's a sign in the window that he struck you a crescendo, and he came into your apartment. He left the blood stains on the carpet. So you ran into the bedroom. You were struck down. It was your doom, Annie.
And that was Aubrey Logan on both vocal and trombone. Wow. And trombone. She played that trombone solo.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Amazing, isn't she?
She's incredible.
How good's her diction?
I know.
So you can hear everything.
It's incredible. Oh, I'm sold. Okay, there's another big slab of my life wasted. That's incredible. Great arrangement for this. They're magnificent. They really are. And
so the chap playing the piano is Mr. Scott Bradley, who started it all. He's like the band leader, if you like, and kind of driving force behind it.
Yes. Okay. Oh, that's great. Fantabulous. I'm in the Smooth Criminal mode now. I was just thinking of that. Suddenly I had this ancient memory come back when I was listening to that then. I was suddenly remembered a story from my cello professor who was a kid in the 20s in Melbourne, and you remember him telling me that he attended a party with Squizzy Taylor, which involved in St Kilda, which involved lots of criminals and money and women on beds, and he told me other things I won't dare mention on air. But I suddenly...
There is another version of that too by a more modern sort of kind of grunge, slightly metal-esque band. Not full, but called... the name of the band is Alien Ant Farm.
Alien Ant Farm. All right, I'll look it up.
And they do a version, and it's quite good.
Okay.
It's very up-tempo.
All right, I'm on a bit of a
smooth... They do a great version as well.
All right, we'll have a Smooth Criminal roll for a few minutes, and I'm going to quickly do my rock and roll retrospective before Frank has to go. And but I want to play this one first.
Wait, what about Squeaky Taylor?
Oh, well, I can't say much else because it's not appropriate for air.
Oh, I see. Well, Squeaky was involved in a great deal of litigation.
Oh, okay.
Who was keeping him in jail, if possible.
Okay.
And there are several instances of Squizzy being charged with an offence where there were at least 20 witnesses.
Yes.
And it just so happened that when the deed was allegedly done by him, everybody was out of the room. Everybody was out of the room doing this or that, or they don't remember what they were doing, but they weren't there.
They weren't there.
Is it the Oliver North defence? I have no recollection of those events, sir.
It's very similar, very similar.
Fascinating. How about that? The plight of Squizzy Taylor. Well, that's amazing.
He didn't mess around, Squizzy.
He didn't mess around. I think he was
an early Billy Longley. That's what he was.
Yeah, he was full on. Yeah, well, we'll have another listen to my favourite alternative version of Smooth Criminal. Happens to be the Two Cellos. They put out a version a little while ago, and I like playing this to my students. It's just so much fun.
Oh, yes.
And then while listening to this, I'll do a...
I think Luca might want to do one as well.
Okay. Oh,
Luca Stricagnoli, the Italian classical guitarist that
I've
really mentioned to you before too. I think he does one, yeah.
Okay.
Which he might play on like two guitars at once or three.
Oh my God!
Something.
All right, we'll dial him up. So what was his name? I've got Alien Ant Farm.
Alien Ant Farm.
And what's the other one called?
Maybe Luca Stricagnoli.
Strick.
S-T-R-I.
S-T-R-I-C-A-G. Yep.
N-O-L-I.
Strignoli. I'll look him up.
And he's a guitarist. He does lots of covers, but in fingerstyle, multiple guitar and multi-neck. And I'm pretty sure he does a cover of it.
Okay, well, we'll look him up as well, so we can ruminate on Squizzy Taylor, and we'll have another instance of Smooth Criminal. Excuse the Freudian slip. Another take on Smooth Criminal, played by the two cellos. There, with lots of special effects. I love the sound. They're the carbon fibre cellos.
They're great players, aren't they?
They are. They just go to town. And
you can tell how, like on their clips when they're doing all this stuff, how into it they are. Like they really enjoy it.
Yeah, they do, and they're just fully embracing the genre. There's no inhibition. It's just all in there, out there, and yeah, it's magnificent playing. So good. Well, we'll continue, and we have Alien Ant Farm. I'll put the official video up.
I sent you a link to the Luca one as well.
Oh, yeah, I think I found that. Oh, okay, I haven't checked my notes. All right, yeah, all right, we'll continue with Smooth Criminal, Alien Ant Farm, and when was this? This was in the 90s or something? When did this come out?
Late 90s or early noughties.
Yeah, thereabouts. It said, actually, there's a comment here. It says, this song was recorded with no intention of being released due to copyright. By chance, it was leaked to Jackson's management that played him the song, and Michael loved it and agreed they could release it, and then they made the film. How about that for a story?
She was struck down, it was her doom. Annie, you okay? You okay? You okay, Annie? 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 Annie, you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? And then I sound of a window, then struck you like a window, Annie. Came into an apartment with the bloodstains on the carpet. And then you ran into the bedroom. You were struck down. It was your doom. Annie, you okay? You okay? You okay, Annie? Annie, you okay? You okay? You okay, Annie? Annie, you okay? You okay? You okay, Annie? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal. So when you came into the outway, it was Sunday, but a black day. Make a salutation, selling heartbeat, intimidation. Annie, you okay? You okay? You okay, Annie? 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 Annie, you okay? Would you tell us that you're okay? And there's a sound of a window, then he struck you a crescendo. Annie came into her apartment, left the bloodstains on the carpet. And then you ran into the bedroom. You were struck down. It was your doom. Annie, you okay? You okay? You okay, Annie? You've been hit by, you've been struck by a smooth criminal.
Tone tests on 160 and on UHF and streaming online. We heard Alien Ant Farm and another take of Smooth Criminal. We can keep rolling with these. There's one more, and then I want to do my little rock and roll retro. Have you got some time, Mr. JR, for another little bit?
Yes, I'm going to be right for about half an hour.
Oh, that's okay. That's good, because we'll hear this one. Looks really interesting. This is Luca Stricknioli. It sounds very pastorish, but I think I've got it right. And is that, you can say it for us, Frank?
Stricagnoli, I think.
Stricagnoli, yes. And he's playing a triple neck guitar.
He's a classically trained Italian guitarist who
right.
put it away for a long time and then started to seeing all these YouTubers apparently doing fingerstyle and went,
okay.
oh, I can do that.
Okay. And he did it with a blom on a 3-neck guitar. Well...
the stuff he plays 2 guitars at once, and it's just ridiculous, yeah.
Staggering. There's a comment here. It says, when Luca doesn't play covers, he uses his brain to mine cryptocurrency. Let's hear Luca. An astonishing act. three-neck guitar, and all 3 were being interplayed their 3 lines. And there was Mr. Luca there.
Yep.
And incredible. Amazing.
One hand
dexterity.
on one and,
yes.
and the other hand on the other, and
that's
percussion at the same time.
Well, all there. And he's got one neck which she's just working solidly on the melody, and then the other 2 hands are going between the middle line, which is sort of a bit of a drone, and then you've got the bass line interdependently fitting in. Extraordinary. I mean, how many people can do that sort of thing? It's staggering.
Split mind.
Yeah, but just sounded so seamless.
Yeah.
It just flowed. It was great. beautiful performance, actually. Yeah.
Would have been 3 people, couldn't it?
Yeah, could easily have been 3 people. Yeah, I'm impressed. Well, here's another one
his
for
other
the...
stuff's worth checking out too. Again, lots of stuff.
Yes, another really... So what's he doing? Is he still doing this? Is he?
Yeah, he tours too. Releases the odd album, tours.
Wow,
yeah.
gosh.
So he's a little bit, I guess, like the solo act in many respects, kind of like the 2 cellos, but not with the flamboyance. He's very...
Yes.
You see his face, he's very staid and straight.
He's very cerebral, isn't he? He's very focused, and it's quite refreshing to see that sometimes, rather with all histronics. But I was really impressed with his playing and his demeanour.
Probably the most animated you'll see him is he does a cover of I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the Knack My Sharona.
Oh yeah.
He does that on a single guitar.
Okay.
But it's an extraordinary version. But that's about as animated as you'll see him.
Okay. Sure. All right. Well, I'll do some investigation and see what else we can find. But we'll now just take the TARDIS back to 1951.
It's my territory.
And we'll just do a little bit of a very short retrospective based on this program I listened to this morning by Simon Whistler. This is really not my territory. I love the music, but I really don't know much about the origins and the complexities of rhythm and blues and how things all sort of found their voice. And this is
Ike Turner,
Ike Turner from 1951. And apparently rock historians almost universally see this as the first sort of rock and roll, one of the most important at the very beginning, or the sort of proto rock tracks. And it was released on Chess as Jackie Brenston and the Delta Cats, but in actual fact it was Ike Turner and the Kings of Rhythm. And there's a big story behind it, and I mentioned a bit of it before, when the woofer fell out of the car when they were changing a tyre and punched a hole, and it created the buzz, and the buzz was a part of the signature sound, and then one thing led to another. And I think the record producer was really Sam someone, he's there on the list, and he was really looking for the feel, which is an interesting part of the equation as well. Rather than being too perfectionistic, they wanted the right sort of vibe, and this struck a chord, and the rest of it was history, really. So yeah, amazing story. So it's Rocket 88, which I think was an Oldsmobile, was the Rocket 88. It's based another story based on a vehicle. We had a merry Oldsmobile with Bix and his gang a few weeks ago, but we'll hear the Rocket 88 Oldsmobile from 1951.
Women have heard of jalopies, you've heard the noise they make, but let me introduce my new Rocket 88. Yeah, it's straight, just one way. Everybody likes my Rocket 88. Baby, we'll ride in style, moving all along. Smart and designed, black convertible top, and the gals don't mind sporting with me, riding all around town for joy. Blow your horn, Raymond, blow. up in my rocket and don't be late, baby. We're pulling out about past 8. Going round the corner and get a fifth. Everybody in my car's gonna take a little lift. Move on out, oozing and cruising along.
Jackie Brisson and the Delta Cats back in 1951. Ark Turner, Kings of Rhythm. How about
Very
that?
much of its time.
Yes.
Rhythm and blues.
Yes, definitely.
I was about to say too, even reminiscent, very similar in the early Bill Haley and the Comets.
Yes, well, they came I mean, when you think that was like 4 or 5 years later.
Yeah.
So this
was certainly the precursor, as Frank says, it sort of, the other grew out of that.
Yes, definitely. And but I love the raw energy. There's a sort of earthiness, and
it's lovely.
And it's
used to be
bubbling.
called race music.
Ah, okay, right, yeah. You can sort of hear that rumbling sort of, it's almost as if it anticipates the next phase, Yeah, there's I think that's the fervour that sort of caught the imagination of historians and enthusiasts and things, but it's considered. But there's other stuff earlier which I think is almost just as important, and there's a track here by Jimmy Preston from 1949. It's called Rock the Joint.
Yeah.
I listened to this one today, and this is 1949, so this is 2 years earlier than the track we just heard, and I think this is even more rock and roll like. And apparently Jimmy Preston sort of left the scene completely shortly after this and became a pastor in a Baptist church, and that was his domain for the rest of his life. But he started as a young person. He made a few recordings, including this one, Rock the Joint. It just has to be heard to be believed. How's that for 1949? it's years.
Oh, wow, that's really early, isn't it?
It is. It's like 6 years before Bill Haley was doing stuff.
That is amazing, and with the sax used in the way it was, that's very rocky.
It certainly is. It completely anticipates the genre. It's in every sense. I mean, the way it's recorded, the way the sort of blazing solos.
That sort of repeated note on the sax like that.
Yeah, totally. I know. It's staggering, and
the stabby nature of it too.
Yeah. You're so punctuated and so blues oriented. It just comes from that R&B tradition. Yeah.
Another guy to be doing this sort of stuff in this way a bit was Louis Jordan.
Yeah. Okay. I'll look up some Louis Jordan tracks.
He did a lot of other stuff as well. He was I love Louis Jordan. He was around for a long time.
Sure.
But he was doing this sort of. But the thing about this particular stuff that you're doing, it takes energy to another level. I think.
I think it does, and that's the swell of rock music, isn't it? It's just that incredible lava-like surge that sort of undermines it, that underscores everything.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It was amazing combination of testosterone and rock.
Yes, post-war fervor, all those things. It's all sort of bubbling away.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and another one that sort of listed. I was sort of looking up different rock historians and seeing what people sort of advances the Genesis recordings. Another one was Hank Williams.
Yeah. And Hank was a country singer.
Yeah, that's it. So this is probably less sort of indicative in one sense, but apparently very important in the scheme of the genre. So it's a track called "Move It On Over" with with Hank Williams back in again 1949.
Great.
Baby of mine wouldn't let me in, so move it on over. Move it on over. Move it on over. Move it on over. Move over, little dog, 'cause the big dog's moving in. She's changed the lock on our front door. My door key don't fit no more, so get it on over. Move it on over. Scoot it on over. Move it on over. Move over, skinny dog, 'cause the fat dog's moving in. Doghouse here is mighty small, but it's better than no house at all. So ease it on over. Move it on over. Drag it on over. Move it on over. Move over, old dog, 'cause a new dog's moving in. Not to play around, but I done let the deal go down, so pack it on over. Move it on over. Tote it on over. Move it on over. Move over, nice dog, 'cause a mad dog's moving in. She warned me once, she warned me twice, but I don't take no one's advice, so scratch it on over. Move it on over. Shake it on over. Move it on over. Move over, short dog, 'cause a tall dog's moving in. She'll crawl back to me on her knees. I'll be busy scratching, please, so slide it on over. Move it on over. Sneak it on over. Move it on over. Move over, good dog, 'cause a mad dog's moving in. Remember, pup, before you whine, that side yours and this side mine, so shove it on over. Move it on over. Sweep it on over. Move it on over. Move over, cold dog, 'cause a hot dog's moving in.
Hank Williams and Move It On Over.
The first phrase as he came in, I thought, wow, that's Rock Around the Clock.
It's very...
That harmony structure too.
Yeah, you really get a sense that it all happened before. Rock Around the Clock, everyone sort of sees Bill Haley as having the popular imagination puts him in the limelight, but really there was so much happening behind the scenes up to a decade before.
Yeah,
it's
and boogie was another factor. It had that sort of harmonic, very similar harmonic structure.
Yeah, sure.
To a lot of what rock was on about, and like that Move It On Over was basically a boogie sort of structure thing.
For sure. I was reading that Elvis was very inspired by a guy called Arthur Crudup.
Yes, that's right.
And a track called That's All Right, which was really big earlier, even still at 1946.
Yeah.
So we're going way back here. And we'll hear this one now and just get a sense of another antecedent to the rock and roll vibe.
Told me too. The life you living, son, now women beat it down for you, but that's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, mama. Any way you do. Yeah, man. That's all right. That's all right now, mama. Any way you do. Babe, now if you don't want me, why not tell me so? You won't be bothered with me around your house no more. But that's all right. That's all right. That's all right now, mama. Any way you do.
Well, there we go. That is so Elvis, isn't it? You can really hear the influence of...
same song, isn't it?
Yeah, Arthur Big Boy Crudup. And
recorded that song.
Yeah.
What year was that?
1946.
Wow.
Elvis did it in about 56 or 55.
Yeah, I think Elvis is on record in saying that he was profoundly influenced by Mr. Big Boy Crudup.
Certainly was. Certainly he is on record, yes.
Yeah.
I've actually heard him say it.
Wow. Yeah.
On a, interview.
Well, you can hear it's so similar in so many respects.
I think Elvis is better.
Yeah, well, he's got a different sort of vibe.
It's a different, a more flexible voice,
Yeah, there's something very generic and it comes from a different place, doesn't it?
Arthur's got a sort of a restricted, sort of nasally sort of.
Yeah, different tone, different sort of.
Plus, I guess too that you go forward to the era when Elvis was recording. His band were very adept. They were a great bunch of musicians, and the equipment had moved on, and I guess the technique, particularly of the guitar players too. Like the guys in Elvis's band, they were great musicians.
Yeah,
they sure were. Scotty Moore and those people. He had 3 or 4 of them that were really, really good.
Yeah.
But they went over with him over to RCA. He started recording on Sun, as you know.
Right.
They were terrific.
Yeah, it's great. I mean,
I think they called them the Jordanaires. I'm not sure.
Yep. Yeah, I just I revel in this early stuff. I just think that it's so.
Love it too.
Yeah, it comes from. Obviously comes from that blues tradition. You hear Bessie Smith and you hear
rootsy stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's sort of life affirming, really. Yeah, brilliant. Well, look, I found a Louis Jordan track of influence, and of course, Louis Jordan had the Timpani 5. And,
he did.
Yeah, and another sort of. Important formative figure. This is a track called Saturday Night Fish Fry.
Oh, yeah, it's a great track.
Yeah, so this is another one which is supposed to be in the rock and roll aficionados.
Oh, it sure is. Should be.
So give this one...
Great lyric too.
Yeah, sure. Give this one a big tick. And again, I think it's from the late 1940s. Yeah, 1949, this recording on Decca. I'm vk3sl, testing.
Now if you ever been down to New Orleans, then you can understand just what I mean. Now all through the week it's quiet as a mouse, but on Saturday night they go from house to house. You don't have to pay the usual admission if you're a cook or a waiter or a good musician. So if you happen to be just passing by, stop in at the Saturday Night Fish Fry. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. Now my buddy and me was on the main stem, fooling around, just me and him. We decided we could use a little something to eat, so we went to a house on Rampart Street. We knocked on the door and it opened with ease, and a lush little miss said, "Come in, please." And before we could even bat an eye, we were right in the middle of a big fish fry. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. Now the folks was having the time of their life, and Sam was jiving Jimmy's wife, and over in the corner was a beat-up grand being played by a big fat piano man. Now some of the chicks wore expensive frocks, some of them had on Bobby socks, but everybody was nice and high at this particular Saturday Night Fish Fry. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. Now my buddy and me, we fell right in and we hollered, "Let the joy begin." Now we figured this was a good place to play, cause the party was already underway. But all of a sudden the lights went low and everybody made straight for the front door. Man, I was so scared I didn't know where to go. I stood right there, then I fell on the floor. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. It was rockin', it was rockin'. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. Now the women
was screaming and jumping and yelling. The bottles was flying and the fish was smelling. And way up above all the noise they made, somebody hollered, better get out of here, this is a raid. I didn't know we were breaking the law, but somebody reached over and hit me on the jaw. They had us blocked off from the front to the back, and they were putting them in the wagon like potato sack. It was rocking. It was rocking. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. It was rocking. It was rocking. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. I knew I could get away if I had a chance, but I was shaking like I had the St. Vitus dance. Now I tried to crawl under a bathtub when the policeman said, where you going now, bub? Now they got us out of there like a house of fire, put us all in that black Maria. Now they might have missed a pitiful few, but they got both me and my buddy too. It was rocking. It was rocking. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. It was rocking. It was rocking. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. We headed for jail in a day's condition. They booked each one of us on suspicion. Now my chick came down and went my bail and finally got me out of that rotten jail. Now, if you ever want to get a fist in your eye, just mention a Saturday night fish fry. I don't care how many fish in the sea, but don't ever mention a fish to me. It was rocking. It was rocking. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn. It was rocking. It was rocking. You never seen such scuffling and shuffling till the break of dawn.
Give me one of them down fish sandwiches.
Get away from that, boy.
Great stuff.
Isn't that marvelous? I love it. Louis Jordan, Saturday Night, Frisch fry. And yeah.
Wow. What year was that?
1949. No.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but it's really got the same vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's years later.
Even the sort of the odd spoken word element in it too. You know, it's very ahead of its time.
It certainly is. And I keep thinking while I was listening to that, this is coming from Cab Calloway. So you can sort of hear that sort of blues shouting, that wonderful, I don't know, the gospel tradition. And Cab did it in the early 30s, late 20s, early 30s. And there's a rich tradition that sort of informs these styles. Yeah, I thought that was amazing. There's lots of Louis Jordan out there. In fact, I just was hunting around and found a transcription record of him, which I'll write out with at the end.
Yeah, great.
But before doing that, there's another track following on with the Boogie Theme with Louis Jordan and his Timpani 5 from 1950, another Decca record. And it's a track called Blue Light Boogie. And so I think we'll have to continue the trend. Have you got another 5 minutes, Frank?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. We'll give this a whirl. Back to 1950, Louis Jordan and his band. vk3sl, testing and clicking and waiting and
They
queuing.
did the boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. They did the boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. To a party with the Barbie socks. At the party, I really got a shock. They did the boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. I started swinging. All she did was rock. Kept on swinging. She said, now listen, Pop. I like to boogie real slow with the blue light way down low. I like to boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. I looked around, the shades were down. The chicks were in the groove. I didn't see how those cats could dance when their feet didn't even move. I started swinging, swung my left foot out, kept on swinging. I heard somebody shout, you gotta boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. Slow with the blue lights way down low. You gotta boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. You gotta boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. Started rocking, we really had a time. The house was rocking, I almost lost my mind. I couldn't boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. I couldn't boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. Folks kept a-knocking, kept on coming in. The folks was knocking till it was 10:30. They did the boogie real slow, till the blue lights way down low. They did the boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. And boys made so much noise, they even had a raid. The only thing those cops could find was ice cream and lemonade. Oh, what a party! I should have stayed at home. Oh, what a party! I was like a chaperone. I couldn't boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. They did the boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low. They did the boogie real slow with the blue lights way down low.
Louis Jordan and his Timothy 5 there. He could really tell a story. And yeah, that's another example of, rhythm and blues.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
I really have to go.
No worries, Frank. That's fine. Look, we'll look forward to your company later on tonight. And she'll be back for emissions at 11:30. I'm sort of anticipating a fairly short session tonight.
Yeah, that'll
yeah, my
me
energy
fine.
levels I need to reconstitute, so we'll just do an hour or so, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
And a few ideas in mind, but we can just riff it as we do. And so have a good evening, Frank.
Thank you. I will, and you too. And cheers, Frank.
Yes, cheers, Frank, and cheers, Steve. Have a good evening.
Yeah, cheers, gentlemen. Thank you for your contributions and your thoughts and the whole sort of, the atmosphere. It's been fun.
vk3sl clear.
Yeah, cheers. All the best there, Frank.
vk3sl.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you, and we look forward to your company next time. Now, on the turntable, I have a transcription record of Louis Jordan and his Timpani 5, so we can sort of follow on, but I have a feeling these are locked groove tracks, so I might have to do the proverbial nudge in between, but we're set up here with the Autophon cart and the 12-inch record from 1950 Mumble, and we'll just ride with this. So thank you, folks, for listening in. Thanks for being a part of the experience, and we look forward to your company later tonight, and again, hopefully, during the weekend. I think we're in gear. Not quite. It's interesting. Why isn't the buyer riding? We might just have to do a bit of investigation on the fly here. See if the systems are working. Try again. No. We might have to use system number 2. That looks like it's right.
Kids are cutting capers. You're awfully busy selling papers. You just ain't got no time to play. Paper boy, your shoes are worn beyond repairing. You're not ashamed of what you're wearing, because you've had a busy day. When you shout, hey mister, want a paper?
Yes, son.
Folks who read just can't refuse. Everybody buys all your papers, keeping up with the latest news. Paper boy, a kid like you with your ambition someday will have a high position, although you're just a paper boy. the evening paper?
Yes, sir.
Folks who read just can't refuse. Everybody buys all your papers, keeping up with the latest news. Paper boy, a kid like you with your ambition. Someday, son, you're gonna hold a high position. But right now, you ain't nothing but a paper boy.
Listening to a test transmission from vk3sl. We're listening to Louis Jordan and his Timpani 5 recordings made in the very early 1950s.
It's a boogie woogie doogie, it's a banger. Sax-a-woogie is the boogie, and you're bound to get the boogie beat in your feet. to stay home talking and listen to people squawking. Come on along and take a stroll on 7th Avenue. We'll go along window shopping and steal a kiss while we're stopping. But we won't be window shopping. Come on along and take a stroll on 7th Avenue. The folks passing by may give us the eye, we'll be unaware. It's so plain to see that when you're with me, I'm walking on air. We ought to be home by 7, but we may stay out till 11, 'cause walking is solid heaven. Come on along and take a stroll on 7th Avenue. We'll be unaware. It's so plain to see that when you're with me, I'm walking on air. We ought to be home by 7, but we may stay out till 11, 'cause walking is solid heaven. Come on along and take a stroll on 7th Avenue. Come along, let's stroll the avenue.
Thanks for listening, folks. I'm vk3sl, and we've been testing on 160 and on UHF. We look forward to your company later on. 11:30, we have more missions. Thank you.